What's up, everyone? So I'm gonna let this simmer. New week. The weekend has come to an end. It is my Monday morning here in Sydney, Australia. 6:30 a.m. You guys are actually the second group of people I'm talking to. Mondays, I have a client. I've been coaching the same gentleman at 5:45 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday for the last 7 years. So as you guys have become a loyal part of my life, my clients who see me either as online clients through a live stream or at my private gym downstairs, I appreciate the support. So we're gonna cover on this live stream. I'm gonna go live twice today. We're going to cover the week that was. Our week on Johnny Says Boxing started Wednesday night in Australia. Before I get into our ups, our downs, a look ahead, and open the floor to you guys, I want to let everybody know that we launched our Johnny Says Boxing Insider VIP membership a month ago. I want to thank everybody who's joined, everybody who's rolled the membership over. It supports the channel. It's a couple bucks a month. You guys on the live stream who catch these lives, I say thank you. You guys are awesome. It's great, the community we're building. Even with our wins, nobody gets too high. Like in the Discord, nobody. I like the fact that everybody keeps it copacetic. One of my favorite sort of quotes about controlling our emotions. It's a Buddhist philosophy. Never get too high, never get too low. And then even with the losses, the boys understand that it's all part of the game. So to become a member of our Discord, that link is pinned in this thread. Join on YouTube, couple bucks a month, and you get access to the Discord. We're almost at 200 VIPs so far, which is amazing. You get access to professional bettors. I'm thinking about starting a new channel, which is inside that Discord. Some of the boys have been asking because it's college football season this week. I already have a 20-leg parlay that I started last week. I just didn't share it with you guys, and I've hit the first three. So I do make a lot of money on college football, but I don't want to turn this whole thing into a DGen program because my whole goal with my channel is the love of the sport, breaking it down from an educated perspective, giving logical reason on why I think certain fighters will win, certain fighters will lose, and then sharing that information. And through that, we've grown into what it is today, and I'm looking forward to the next 12 months of growth and see where the channel is going to grow. This time 2 years ago, I was at 2,000 subscribers. So I just want to give a heads up to, I know I get pro fighters on this channel. We get pro coaches, professional coaches. Coach Bermudez is on the channel. This is the guy who coaches Rohan Polanco. A lot of guys, household names. We get amateur fighters like Kane, professional fighters like Mike Tyler, who's fighting here shortly in a couple weeks. So, keeping everything in order and aligned with where the channel's growing. We get content creators too. So a lot of the boys have reached out to me on Instagram through DMs, emails, asking me about starting channels. My biggest advice, like I said, 2 years ago today, this channel, we were just under 2,000 subs. Fast forward 24 months, consistency, we are at about 26, a little bit over 26,000 subs. For me, I remember how happy I was when I got to 1,000. I remember how happy I was when I got to 2,000. And so every new subscriber, it's the same feeling. So if you're a content creator, stay consistent and make sure you're doing it for the love of the game. All right, guys. So I got some insider info last week. We went to the fights Wednesday night in Sydney, headlined by Nikita Zoo and co-headlined by Michael Zarafa. We did a long parlay with some underdogs, and we did lose one of the dogs on that undercard. Hats off to Ahmad Rita. I actually went against him and took Bruno Tarimo based off of the experience, but Ahmad Rita looks legit. So hats off to Rita for destroying my parlay. But we did hit with the knockout method of victory with Nikita and Zarafa both getting a knockout. After the fights, I went to the casino with some of the boxers, not to gamble, not to drink. We were hanging out after. You were talking, George Rose was there, Matty Rose was there, the boys behind No Limit. I wasn't speaking to them. I was just sitting at a little table. Spoke to a professional fighter here in Australia, She gave me insider information about Sky Nicholson's opponent. I then placed my bet that night, which would have been Wednesday night. I got my insider info at plus 225. I then shared it with you guys in the Discord, and that was probably our best win in terms of I mean, how great does it feel when we get insider info and it hits? Something so specific as well as Sky's opponent not coming prepared, Sky's opponent not having a camp, etc. Especially Sky not being a knockout artist. We go heavy on Sky. I got her at plus 225. I should have never shared that info on my Instagram. I'm glad I shared it with you guys. But when I shared it on my Instagram, Sky reshared it. And then when she reshared it, due to her social media following, the odds dropped from 225 to 160. So that's one of my regrets. Anyway, we hit on that insider info. We also hit on Dana White Contender Series. We hit all 5 fights. So I'm going over my wins first, then we'll get to the losses. And if any of you guys followed any of my leads and actually hit on any of the leads, what's Gary from 3D say? Tip your bartender. If you can't afford it, that's fine. Just like this video. All the support goes a long way. After the Sky by knockout, we then hit the Dana White Contender Series 5-leg. That paid us, and these are all in the Discord, wins and losses. You'll see all of my receipts under Johnny's picks in our Discord. So on Dana White Contender Series, we hit a plus 507. So if you would have put 100 on that, you would have made your money back plus 400 and some change, which was great. That's what I went. Put 100, I got 500, and we hit you know, all the favorites, but we took Cam Rowson as the dog in the main event and hit that. And it looks like that might be the only action we have moving forward this week. There are a couple low-level, very domestic, bougie, kind of quasi-exhibition fights on DAZN. So I'll let you guys know tonight in the second live stream if I'm going to feature those fights on my Stats Don't Lie video series. So the only other parlay we hit, I gave this one to you guys on the Discord, and I also made it public on YouTube. This wasn't as juicy, but it still paid plus 291. So 100 on this one would have got you your money back plus 191 bucks. So not quite 2-to-1 return, but mate, that's a great. It's almost a 200% in return. And this was the parlay where we put Yelvis Gomez at $1.10, Corey Marksman at $1.11, Jan-Paul Rivera at $1.13, and then we splashed Sky Nicholson to juice the odds up by knockout, and that hit as well. So we hit, like I hit 3 out of my 5. The 2 I missed was the long parlay, Yanis Tellis. Thanks, big homie. Yanis Tellis had a rough night at the office. And then the draws, dude. What's up, boys? What's up with the draws? You know what I'm saying? So I fortunately last week moved all of my betting accounts to Bet365 in Australia. I gave you guys the heads up on our YouTube channel on the post. I made a post last weekend and I said, hey boys, if you're Aussies, don't bet Sportsbet. The only betting app I was getting odds in Australia that the draw doesn't ruin our parlays is Bet365. So the draws didn't destroy us, but they bring the odds down. As you boys are checking in, what's up, Christian, my guy? Christian Morales, I relayed the message to my girlfriend, and I'm going to take you up on the offer. That's all I'm going to say about that. Christian Morales, I'm going to DM you on Discord. Hand History Vault in the house. Boxing Fan, my guy. Boxing Fan's always traveling. Hopefully you had a good weekend, Boxing Fan. Brandon, what's up? What's up, Johnny? My parlays were hitting until Tellis screwed it up. Yep. Tellis is the only loss, excluding, you know, our plus money upset parlays. Tellis is the only money line that lost, and he lost bad, boys. It wasn't a one of them was a plus 15. Oh, damn, boy. But see, this is, look, mate, we'll get that back, Brandon, and hopefully you're not betting too much. I did tell the boys, disclaimer last week, don't go heavy this week. That's what I said last week. It kind of had that feeling about it the last few weeks of like, all right, these are a lot of domestic fights, a lot of sort of step up matchups. Let's not go too heavy. Let's try to find some victories where we can and get, and you know, I look at, we got 52 weeks in the year. I have a dry erase board. You boys probably can't see, but I have the dry erase board leaning this way against the wall. and it's a calendar. So I look at the betting weeks. I have it all old school written out on a chart, and I look at it as like a win and go home tournament for week to week boxing, right? So we just got to find our victories. We haven't got, since I introduced the Johnny Says gambling side on the channel, the betting side, we've hit every week. We don't win every parlay, but there's wins every week. So it bums me out, Brandon, that you didn't get up, but trust me, we're gonna be getting up. John Pablo, what's up, buddy? I'm putting money on the draws. Smart. Big Shadow, we up, gentlemen. Small setbacks. Exactly, Shadow. That's that mindset. That's that good mindset. John Pablo, I'm putting money on draws from now. It's worth the sprinkle, boys, especially when you're looking at even the main event last night, which was, people were smashing it in the comment section. Cordova, what I thought that was an entertaining fight. I got to be honest with you. It was entertaining. It was a weird, one of the weirdest fights, but it was entertaining to say the least. The draw actually didn't ruin my parlay. Rando, what's up, buddy? Pretty much broke even. The last draw saved me. Guys, I do want to, I'm not sure what the Johnny Says Boxing VIPs, I haven't, I'm doing an honor system in the Discord. So I just expect all you boys who sign up on YouTube to just stay signed up. It's a rollover thing. It's only a couple bucks a month. It helps the YouTube. So I don't know if YouTube, when you join and hit the button, join Johnny Says Boxing Insider, I don't know if it does it for you every month. But if you're staying in the Discord, I'm not putting a paywall in there. So if you're in there and you find out that you lost your star on the live stream, just re-sign up for me. Havelock, the female boxers saved my week. They're just too reliable. What's up, Havelock? Big Shadow, I got the draw on Crawford Canelo. Shoot, what's that paying? Boxing fan, that draw on Chamberlain Rafferty saved my tail. I gotta be honest with Chamberlain Rafferty. If you notice, I didn't cover the fight. The only fight I had, so I had camera issues for my Stats Don't Lie video series. So if you guys are new to the channel and you only know me from my live streams, I grew my channel by doing my Stats Don't Lie breakdown series, which I do every week, right? After I did the Nikita Zoo Stats Don't Lie video last Monday, I had to take my camera, my Sony Alpha A2, in to get fixed, just to get sort of touched up. It's a beautiful camera. It needs just like a beautiful car engine. A camera like that, you take it in to get serviced. And I just got it back. So by the time I got it back, it would have been Friday or Saturday. So I think out of sort of serendipity, I didn't break down Chamberlain and Rafty. I didn't break down a lot of the other fights. But that to me was always going to be a domestic Brit fight. So when I watched it, I was actually surprised. I had Chamberlain winning the later rounds. And I know everybody picked Rafferty, and it was a draw. Plus 1,600. Rando on my other phone. Oh, I never even noticed that, Rando. Rando on my other, oh, that's crazy. I was talking, I wasn't even, now that you say something, appreciate you, bro. I didn't even realize it was you. Koki, my boy Rivera flopped. Yankee. Hey guys, everybody's saying Yankee Rivera flopped. And Koki's not wrong. So let's highlight Koki's comment. He's a supporter of the channel. I like his insights. He says, my boy Rivera flopped. Got to work on his defense. He's athletic, but has lapses in the ring when he's being pushed back. Hopefully improves from this fight. So Koki, I'm not disagreeing with you, but something that I would add to that comment is how difficult it is to prepare for somebody like Cordova. That is such an unorthodox style. He doesn't do anything by the book. And in a weird way, I mean, how many people have made a career? I mean, when you look at Cordova's resume, I think maybe look at how many fighters he's beat on his way. I think he was 17-1. Look how many fighters he's beat with non-winning records, with losing records. Everything he throws is unorthodox and looks like it's ugly, right? But then when you watch him, the first 5-6 rounds, there's takedowns, there's hitting in the back of the head. But then by the 7th and 8th round, you start seeing the picture Cordova's painting. And I'm not expecting you guys to agree with me on this, but like, it made sense. So Cordova's game plan, his coaching, everything he did, how ugly or unorthodox or whatever you want to call it is built around his strengths. And his weaknesses and flaws are obviously his techniques, but his strengths, he somehow turned his weaknesses into his strengths. And by the end, those last few rounds, he was hurting Rivera. And by the end of the fight, man, in the Discord, he was getting cooked in our Discord. But by the end of the fight, I was like, I'm watching Cordova again. I gotta be honest with you, dude. I was like, I'm here for it. I am. And then you mix Cordova's style with Rolly Romero walking him out, Rolly being in his corner. I was like, it all makes sense. You know what I mean? Because Rolly is one of the most unorthodox guys, and he's one of my favorite fighters to watch. So I became a fan of Cordova at the end of the fight. I got to be honest. Money Meech, yer. Money Meech, we got to get those shirts that say yer. Havelock, I had to put Cordova fight on mute. Yeah, the grunts were insane. It was kind of like when I was a kid. My dad was, he passed away in my mid-20s, but my dad, this imposing figure, 6'4" Slavic dude, played American football, but he loved watching tennis. And this would have been in the 90s. So there was a girl tennis player who was kind of an up-and-comer. She ended up having an amazing career, Monica Seles. But my dad loved watching Seles play because of her athleticism. I couldn't watch Seles play because every time Seles would return serve, I couldn't watch her because of it, and I understand the Cordova comment. Adu, I honestly thought Chamberlain did enough for the win in that fight. Lucked out in the draw, and then Adu, I agree with you, mate. I was you know what I was impressed with Chamberlain, and not impressed in being world class, but how he was able to have power in those later rounds off of his back foot. Now we know not all power is one punch power, and when you rewatch it, it's Rafferty, super club level, by the way, running on every shot, pressing Chamberlain back, coming in naked with no jab setups, running with his head here. And so basically running on to Chamberlain. And I mean, you still have to have good timing. And Chamberlain's timing at the end, him catching Rafferty at the perfect time with those straight shots on his back foot. I actually thought Chamberlain did enough in the end to win the fight. But yeah, I agree. The draw saved us. But then Tellez, we can talk about Tellez, guys. Dwayne Styles, happy Sunday. I got to go to the gym. You better get that workout in, big dog. AB, no Broner, Cook Tellez. History Vault. Rivera needs more than just defense. This guy couldn't even land clean on Cordova. Yeah, Cordova didn't have any defense. You know what it was, History Vault? It feels to me with Rivera that he drank his own Kool-Aid. I don't know him. I don't know his camp. I know he's propped up by Jake Paul, Serrano, and MVP. I'd like to see what sort of sparring Rivera is getting. I'd like to see, is Rivera... This is going to sound crazy. This is one of, there's an element of MMA in my channel. A sprinkle, right? Considering my past. The good thing about MMA gyms is that very rarely at the world level will you find the MMA fighter only sparring against guys that he's better than. I mean, excluding John Jones, nobody in the room is going to be better than John Jones. No one in the room is going to be better than GSP, but those are outliers. Normally, in an octagon room, due to the weight classes, you're going to be going against guys, even if you're a champ, against guys who are probably going to be better than you. Boxing, I mean, growing up in boxing gyms at the level, a lot of handlers won't put their guys in there. Once they made it, they won't put their guys in there with guys who are going to test them. So when I see Rivera fight and watching how much he struggled psychologically, granted he got headbutted, the cuts, the headbutt to the mouth sucks, boys. Have you ever been headbutted to the mouth, man? That one, I could deal with this one. Like the cut is more of an optic. It sucks, it's in a bad spot, but the one here fucking hurts because you get all these little bones here, all this little stuff here, the teeth, and psychologically, he couldn't get out of that. And I don't know how much of that is him not being pushed, tested in his sparring. Maybe it was just the fact that, he's going against a super unorthodox guy, but yeah, he didn't look right. Mar the Prince, Abbas Barreau looked like Kataga Lee's Bud Crawford. Guys, when are we going to give Germany their props? Who was the kid who beat, now correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the kid from, who's the kid in England who beat Josh? Wasn't, wasn't the kid who beat Josh German too? Josh Taylor? Um, God damn it. I'm not going to look. I know one of you guys will find it before. I'm trying to find it here. We covered him. His name will come to me. But I think more than anything, Abbas Barreau, rep in Germany, I think maybe we're just sleeping on some of these guys in Europe because, dude, Barreau's game plan and his technical high guard, dude, and his methodical style. And look, Barreau's slow. He was slow and prodding and one-dimensional. And the thing about him, though, is he never slowed down. When I mean slow, I mean reflexes and feints and his setups. Everything was in front of Tellez. It was wild for me to see how, you know what that was too? That's terrible coaching. Not on Tellez's corner or his prep, but in fights. Sometimes you have to like make adjustments, and it's like, come on, man. Tell Tellez to stop fighting him with his ego and pride. Tell Tellez to use his feet, use his lateral movements, get him off the ropes. Stop fighting him. Stop trying to be Floyd and fight him off the ropes in the pocket because you think that you could take this guy's shots and he can't hurt you and you're going to counter him. When that's not working, you need to make adjustments. Tellez is an athlete. Use your speed, use your reflexes, fight him on the outside, use your jabs. I actually like Tellez from orthodox better. He comes out southy. We know he switches stances. Southpaw was kind of like he stayed there for the first few rounds. He was getting touched up in the pocket. And then I think in the third or fourth, he switches to orthodox, fights the whole rest of that round in the pocket, and I thought he looked good. I thought he looked better from ortho than he looked southy. What's up, PJ? Rando, Raf had Chamberlain on the ropes and did nothing. He would throw 2 to 3 shots and stop. He was pissing me off. Yeah, Cordova can upset a parlay. Yeah, it's a moot point, but I was chasing a bit. after the Tellez fight. If you guys were in the Discord, you'll know I sprinkled a little bit on Yankiel to get knocked down and then win. And so it's a moot point, but up until I thought obviously they were going to give Yankiel the decision, and there were 2 times in the fight where I thought Yankiel probably got knocked down that they didn't call it. I was salty, but it was moot. Heaven sent, you saw that, Johnny? Yeah, Johnny Walker. Oh, boys, I forgot. I hit big on my Charles Johnson pick. So all week people were telling me that that Lonnie Kavanaugh was going to be Charles Johnson, and I was giving pushback. I was like, I've known Charles for like 5 years. I've documented, when I was doing MMA interviews, I've documented Charles Johnson when he was on the regional scene. I documented when he was the LFA champion. He's always the underdog, first guy and only guy to beat Josh Van. Josh Van's fighting for a world title. I was like, you give me Charles Johnson a plus 275 against a young Lonnie Kavanaugh. I'm taking that all day. And Charles Johnson starched him. It was typical CJ fight. First round, he kind of like figures things out, and gives. I think what happens is Charles Johnson, Charles Johnson's a 5-round fighter, by the way. So in the 3-round fights, he sometimes loses a lot of decisions because that first round, he takes his time. He's a patient fighter, high fight IQ, and when he fights these prospects, I think the prospect and their camp gets a little bit too eager, and they take a little bit too much credence in what happens in that first round, and they come out in that second round super confident and cocky, and then that's where Charles always turns it up. You gotta watch your tape on Charles Johnson if you're fighting him and understand that going into a matchup, especially if you're an up-and-coming prospect. Zach Gilmore, respect. I like Raleigh too. He makes me laugh. My guy. Stephanie Hahn. Dwayne, Stephanie Hahn, I thought that, did you notice when they called that a knockdown? I looked at like 30 replays. None of them showed the feet. To me, that was like it looked like their feet got tangled and she kind of got pushed. More, that Charles Johnson pick money. It had me rolling when he attempted Mandarin. Yeah, Charles Johnson, chic wah. Yeah, Charles Johnson, see. Dude, he's a beast though, man. Energy. The pride of St. Louis. Johnny Walker had an entertaining fight when he copied Hamzat. Gave me chills. Johnny Walker's an X factor, mate. Big, tall, athletic. Just, got that chin on him though. I was impressed with that victory though. Rando, I did. Cordova never stopped throwing punches. Wild ass fight. Heaven sent. Johnny Walker TKO to do. I know. Dude, the Walker stoppage was very impressive, especially doing it in China. PJ tells made me lose. He made us all lose, big fella. Han getting dropped off the rip was a jaw dropper. Her opponent was game. Yeah, her opponent, she was game. Colombian, young Colombian. You know what was wild? If you got watching the Han fight, I thought that was way closer. Because I had Stephanie Han on a parlay, and I was kind of sweating a little bit. The broadcasting team were glazing. They were acting like Han, other the first round, won every round. I was like, you guys are wild, dude. The Colombian is doing what she wants in a lot of these rounds. I bet 20 on Rafferty channel. Recode, we're eating. Recode, my man's a savage. I love it. John Pablo Taylor is my only loss. All of us, boys. That Tejas loss, man. That one burns. Heaven sent. As a Cuban, this Tejas loss hurt a lot. I couldn't. Bro, man, look. So, Tejas, man, I already gave you my thoughts on it. We've seen him fight before. We've seen him look good before. It was his body language. It looked like to me his feet were stuck, and I don't know if that was a bad weight cuts. They're not gonna. We know boxing camps. They're not going to be transparent with us, especially after a loss. They don't want to come out making excuses. Some fighters do. I don't think Tejas' camp will. But when you look at his body language, and I think he got his jaw broken in the third or fourth. If you were in our Discord, we were doing play-by-play. He got caught with a freaking clean uppercut he was southpaw. It was right before he switched, so it had to be the third. And they're in the pocket, and Barao catches him with a clean uppercut. And from that point on, he couldn't close his jaw. He went from to, and that's usually a telltale sign of getting this bit. Because we either get our jaw broken here or here. So I always tell people, especially people, if you follow the jawline here, and there's two little divots right here. It's where the mandible is the part of the jawline that connects here. In this little divot, it only takes 3 to 4 pounds of pressure to break. So this is why it's important to come here. He gets hit here. I swear, I'd like to see what he looks like now. The chat's heating up. Echo Esuman. That was it. There you go. Muscle Brown in the house. Muscle Brown in the house, the big dog. Some of these fights, crazy. The 5 MVP, all knockouts. Johnny Stubble come. I know, my girlfriend hates it. I'm 43, and I can't even grow a beard. This shit's insane. He didn't tie up. Yeah, he looked uncomfortable, mate. Let's hope Barao goes far. I think he's going to, heaven sent. Hand History Vault says, Barao always kept his high guard against Tejas. Go back and watch tape. Barao never held his defense. I think one of you boys asked Gary on Gary's live stream. I had about 10 minutes in between my session and this. And somebody asked Gary on his breakdown, did he talk about Barao enough? And Gary brought up a good point. He said, nah, Gary only talked about the Tejas' victory over Jay. Victor, no, we're good, Victor. We're all weird. One of my favorite quotes, Hunter S. Thompson, he was a journalist during the acid era. He invented a form of journalism called gonzo journalism. And he has a quote, too rare to live, but too weird to live, but too rare to die. Great quote. Johnny Walker, Morris, Scott Nicholson came through. Yep. Victor, Scott destroyed. Yep. Kiza, what's up, Kiza B? I bet on Charles knockout, but I'm sad for my Lonnie. Too early to fight Johnson. Looked really good round one, but he got to work on the cardio and keeping his hands up. I think still a future. Yeah, Kiza B, and I'm a fan of Lonnie Cavanaugh, mate. I remember watching him come up in the regionals. You know, I watch, just because I don't feature them, I watch all the Cage Warrior fights in the UK. I knew, so when they come over, I already know who they are. Kavanaugh's a dog. He's only 25. He'll learn from this. This is the fight game, boys. We learn from it. The thing about Tellez, in relation to Tellez, what does he take? You know what I'm saying? The way Barao beat him, it's not like. So for me, with Tellez, his biggest mistakes were actually fight IQ mistakes, because physically, everything he was trying to do against Barao worked with everybody before Barao. So unless, I think he had a jaw injury. I think his jaw got broken in the third or fourth. His feet didn't look right to me. He looked, how do I say this? He looked drained. He looked kind of like, I always use this, it's the best sort of metaphor. It's kind of like if you're boiling pasta, if you're boiling spaghetti, the long one, and when it's hard, the texture of, when it's raw, and then when you boil it, it gets loose. Tellez's body language looked like a wet noodle. He didn't look durable. He didn't look as sort of sturdy as he usually does. So when I see fighters, their body language like that in a fight, the first thing I think is a bad weight cut, or didn't get to, maybe there was an injury in camp and didn't get to do all of the sort of tick all the boxes. But they're never going to tell us that. Yeah, David says the dude that beat Tellez Barrao's MD decision over Sam Edgington. I've interviewed Sam Edgington before. Sam Edgington, he was he had the IBO strap before. Sam Edgington used to, when he came down in 2021 to fight in Sydney against another mutual opponent. What's his name? A really tough kid. He's an Irish kid who was part of that Irish movement, who moved to Sydney with his name's slipping my mind, but he beat him too. Guys, let's like the video. We're 30 minutes in, 35 people in the house. Let's get those likes up. I was happy when he lost. What's the next fight? We betting on PJ. I'll get to that. Getting your jaw broke has to be terrible. Zach, imagine getting that boy broken in a fight too. So there's two type of jaw breaks. Only one of them requires the jaw to get wired shut. Not all jaw breaks are the same. Not all of them are created equal, per se. Zayas got in the ring and agreed to fight him. Same Johnny, my dad ain't got no beer. I'm cooked. Yeah, dude. We're all cooked. Boys, we're all cooked. Facts, buddy. Frank B checking in. Muscle Brown, my guy, 9-legger, hit thank God for the Discord. Frankie B, see that Discord, boy. So one of you guys in the Discord said something beautiful last night. You were like, dude, thank God this Discord exists. I wouldn't have anywhere to vent my frustration. I was like, it's a good point. We can't just internalize our heat. We got to let it out. Victor, my old man ain't got no beard mustache stubble. Everyone lost money on Tellez. I don't know anybody. And boys, don't get it twisted. The only people who won money on Barao, excluding his camp, are the boys who were chasing losses, who saw that there were 2 fights left, and they were like, I'm sprinkling something on the dog. And then when it came through, people were like, oh, I told you about Barao. No, you didn't, homie. You were chasing, and you got lucky. Tellez knocked out Johan Vasquez quicker than Ramos did. Yeah, dude, Tellez is... It's not like we didn't see great things from Tellez. He didn't look right to me. Adu, people knock the British fighters, and I get it from a boxing perspective, but damn, they're entertaining. Last one was off the chain. Yeah. I love British boxing. Hold on. Did you say people knock British? I love British boxing, Adu. I've said that on my channel for years. I always, even before I started doing YouTube content, I would always watch British boxing. They're always entertaining. These are guys that would fight in pubs for free. They'll fight. These guys will fight in the backyard for free. You'll rarely ever hear a British guy say, if the money's right, I need to get the bag. They're like, no, dude. It's just a little bit different. But why didn't you get him out of there? Muscle Brown, very slow week this week. Next month going to be another big one. Yeah, we don't have a lot on this week, boys. There's 2. I put them up. I put the fight schedule up in the Discord, and I put it on YouTube. if more fights open up, now obviously go to BoxRec, there's all of these obscure cards, like 10 of them in South Africa, 10 of them in, I think there's a card in Israel, there's cards everywhere. I didn't even know Israel had a boxing commission, which is insane. But it's it's tough to cover fights if we're not gonna have action on it. That sounds so degenerate to say, but at this stage of the game, I'm not gonna break down a fight if the boys and I can't even watch it. They could do Josh Kelly versus Abbas. They're both Wasserman. Yeah, they're both Wasserman. I think they're gonna. I think Abbas is gonna get elevated though, because of I posted in the Discord Rambler the fact that they made an announcement that as soon as Bud and Canelo starts round one, he's getting stripped at 54, and Abbas is gonna get elevated. Victor, that Irish lad who beat Liam Smith. Oh, dude, McKenna. Don't sleep on Aaron McKenna, boys. Aaron McKenna's a dog. I've been high on McKenna for 3 years. When you look at Aaron McKenna, his brother, his father, when you look at, you know who put me on to Aaron McKenna was actually Bomac. So I have if you guys didn't know, we have a Facebook group as well. It's a public group. In the Facebook group, if I have it under sort of controls, but if you want to post your training, if you want to post your bets, if you want to post anything, go to the Facebook group. There's about 38,000 people in that group. Bomac's in that group. Bomac told me a few years ago that Aaron McKenna, he'd come to America, he'd come to B&B and spar with Lester, he'd spar with Bud. He was like, Aaron McKenna's the real deal. We won a lot of money on McKenna stopping Beefy. Boxing Van with the super chat. My guy, win, lose, or draw, we in the building. Thanks, brother. Thanks for the continuous support. $2 super chat. Awesome. Thank you, brother. The Irish lad. Boots probably fight Abbas after Lima. No. I think Boots is going to fight the winner of Virgil and Lubin. That's the move, right? Boots, if Boots beats Lima, he then fights Virgil or Lubin. People are sleeping on Lubin. Don't sleep on Erickson Lubin. What's good, Johnny? Took this weekend off. Sky 1 to 5. Nice. Victor, we all cooked. Julius, I knew Taya is going to stop, bro. I know, Julius. Julius, me and you, when you message in the Discord, you put that message about Johnny do a video on scoring. And then the fight, we ended up seeing how the next two fights played out. Bro, I don't know how they're scoring either, mate. I don't know how they're scoring. It's so, some people, it's really tough for me to not be an asshole right now with this comment, considering how much it bothers me about boxing. The two things that drive me insane the most about boxing are weight cutting and then judges who don't box. That freaking, look, I understand. I don't want referee. I don't need a referee that used to box, but I need judges who used to box. How crazy. Boxing is so technical. It is such an art. They call it the sweet science for a reason. You're telling me you're going to have people judging boxing who've never boxed, who don't know what setups are, who don't know what feints are, who don't know what a game plan is, who don't know what foot feints are, who don't know what traps are, who don't know what, keeping somebody in a web is, who doesn't know what, the idea of ripping the body to go up top, who doesn't know what a high guard is, who doesn't know what framing is. These are the people judging these fights. It's insane, dude. It's insane. If Lubin beats Ortiz, I'll cry. Lucas Body will never be a world champ. Yeah, Body won me money, but yeah. There could be a path at his division though, Julius. I mean, our boy's a 2-division world champ. One of my favorite fighters. I always laugh when I think of him because I always get cooked. But one of my favorite fighters is a 2-division world champ, and people said he would never become a world champ. So if Lubin beat Ortiz, I'll cry. Adu, Bud Canelo draw. You heard it here first. Adu, put it up in the Discord, big dog. Kiza, McKenna calling out Janibek. Hopefully it happens. Yep. McKenna called out Janibek and Adames. Did you guys see that? Thanks, Victor. Victor, now Victor's making me blush out here. I'm like, is that my girlfriend? You're complimenting me like Chrissy does. Crawford is the next fight I could bet on. No other fights yet. Yeah, be patient with this. Lubin is chinny. I mean, Lubin, you know, he gets stopped young, early against Charlo as a 21-year-old. You know, it's great attitude. And then he loses to Seb, but I just shared that fight. He was coming on. That fight against Seb got stopped because of the optic of how terrible his face was swelling. But the cards were real close. He was winning the later rounds. I think that goes 12. Erickson beats him. To call him chinny, I don't know. I disagree. I love Lubin's style. People sleep on Lubin. Lubin's going to give Virgil fits. Virgil isn't a one-punch guy. And you're going to say Lubin's chinny. What are you talking about? Virgil got dropped multiple times against Boacek. Boots can get a belt at 154 if Abbas gets it, though. Boots is going to get a belt at 54. He doesn't need Barao to get a belt at 54. Boots is that dude, boys. Boots is that guy. We're looking at a world class talent in Jaron Ennis. There's no secret about that. I can't wait to see his durability get tested, though. My question with Boots has always been his durability, because he takes shots. At 47, he would take a lot of big shots that he shouldn't have taken. We'll see if he could get away with that at 54. That UFC card before schoolwork is cool. Toxic. I think Haney beats Norman. I'm from the A. ATL. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Ba 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 ba. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Oh, he's from the A. He should get that. The chat's heating up. Guys, let's like this video. David Eister. I got to come back to that one. John Pablo. Tony Weeks and the Triple G versus Canelo judge on the UFC messing things up. Yeah, the worst judge of all time is Adelaide Bird. Adelaide Bird, I wish you no harm, but Adelaide Bird has ruined more parlays for me and probably been part of ruining fighters' careers in both the UFC and MMA, or MMA and boxing, for decades. Adelaide Bird is the GOAT of awful judges. Adelaide Bird is, yeah, she's the GOAT. There's another one. What's his name? But Adelaide Bird's the GOAT of judges, of awful judges. 90% of the time I bet over unders. Victor comment was too nice to acknowledge. Yeah. Toxic. Bless you too, Vic. Main V, I bet 5 on Barado went. Did you? And 2 on the draw. Get out of here, man. You were chasing, boy. This guy was. But what did you lose before that $5 bet? You lost on Tellez. Oh, no, you said you bet 5 on Barado, went 50 and $2 on the draw. It's a good hit. Julius, Lubin ain't getting no favor from judges. Lubin needs a knockout to win. But that's his style, Julius. That's his style. That's going to be a fun fight. Johnny, was it you that said Boacek? Yeah. No, it was me. Get Rambler. It's not that I said Boacek. I never used the word washed. I just said I follow Boacek. I've watched his entire career. I just said from the eye test of watching him speak, watching him train, what his body looks like, how he filled out against Michael. It looks to me his central nervous system is fried, his neurology. I see a guy who has onset, I don't want to say it, but yeah, he stutters a bit. You know, when you're our central nervous system, our wiring, when that's when people get punchy. You know, the neurology within our musculoskeletal system, which allows us to function most optimally. When we get brain damage or constant trauma, that neurology gets affected. It starts to degrade. It starts to atrophy. That's what I was saying. And there's signs of it. You could see it, mate. I think Boots beats them all, but Eddie gonna want to get that easiest belt first. Yeah, Eddie's gonna get paid for sure. Boots is one of them ones. Who's gonna go see Bachman first? I'm not sold on Bachman, man. Don't hate. Look, I watch when Murtazaev fights. I picked him to lose against Tim. I became a fan of Murtazaev after what he did to Tim, but I think we learned more about Tim versus more about Bakram during that fight. You know what I'm saying? No knock on Bakram. I don't think he's the boogeyman at all. I think this narrative that no one's ducking Bakram Murtazaev. We will see William Skull fight next year. If Lubin beat Virgil Ortiz, I'll walk in the streets in draws and count. It's like, hold on, Toxic. No. If Lubin beats Virgil, you need to walk butt naked. Because didn't Lil Nas X just get arrested for walking Bucky? Just like this weekend? Skull got no promo behind him. Well, we're talking about him now. Inoue by decision against MJ. MJ's tough. I think MJ's going to be too tough for his own good. I think Inoue... I'm playing the knockdown prop in that. I always win money on Inoue knockdown props. Bird has destroyed me. Bird is the worst. Bird is the GOAT. We should say, I'm going to make a t-shirt with Adelaide Bird, the GOAT. And start really confusing people. I know most ain't going to want to hear it, but I got Barao beating Boots. I don't think so, Julius. I know you said in the Discord. I don't see Barao. Barao's not going to be fast enough for Boots. Boots has a high fight IQ. Trust me, Julius, Boots would have made an adjustment. Tellez was too proud for his own good. His corner didn't give him the right advice. Tellez needs to move off those goddamn ropes. Tellez needs to fight him from the outside. Tellez needs to stop Barao from coming forward by using his jab and fighting him at range. You don't fight. He fought the wrong fight. He fought the wrong fight. Boots doesn't make that mistake. 100%. And that's an element of Boots' game which I'm a believer of. Once you get past the athleticism, once you get past the speed, once you get past the power of Jaron Ennis, you then will get to the fight IQ, the decision making, his ability to make adjustments, what he does at different distances. And he could fight you at range, he could fight you at the pocket, he can make you come, he'll come to you. He does a lot of things. He would stop Barao. Johnny goes, I wish you no harm, bros. Does Uzbek power hold up? Oh, great question. I think it does. He's talking about Elam Hunale. I think it does. I want to see it. I want to see if it holds up at 68. Good question. Toxic. Steve Weisfeld's still the worst. Good call. Forgot about him. Bird really is terrible. Isn't her husband ref Robert Bird? I haven't gone past her being a horrible ref. You're probably right, though. Canelo vs. Bud got 2 questionable judges. One of them is Tim Cheatham is up there, too. Is Cheatham judging that fight? Tim Cheatham. Tim Cheatham. That's a good call, mate. Tim Cheatham and Adelaide Bird, man. Those two are the... I forgot about Tim. He's awful. Lubin has been hurt even in some of the fights he has won, like against Gausha. Gausha's a good boxer. Doesn't have great... But Gausha has great timing. You said that Gausha doesn't have great power, but Gausha has really good timing. And, I mean... that... Because when Gausha dropped Zoo, and then Zoo went on to beat Gausha on points, that's actually when I was like, okay, maybe Tim could become a world champion, because Gausha's a great win. Brandon, that's a boxing judge. Heaven sent. The Russian was winning against Cyril Gahn. Boots' defense is athleticism as the fight goes in the later rounds. That athleticism. I see what you're saying. You'd expect that prodding Barao style, but what you're not taking into consideration, Julius says Boots' defense is athleticism. As the fight goes into later rounds, that athleticism will fade, leaving him open to big shots. But you're forgetting the point of saying that without considering Boots hurting Barao with his power. Boots' body work? How many times like Tellez had nothing on his shots. And he wasn't throwing combos. And, Barao was shoe shining him. Barao was trying to look like a bougie David Benavidez. He does not get away with that against Boots Ennis, man. But with that said, Lubin is still dangerous. CTE, I know. Yeah, we're talking Boacek. It's tough to talk about. Tell him, Johnny, my money is going on Josh Kelly. I think the odds will be too wide. People are sleeping on Josh Kelly, mate. If Josh Kelly goes against Bakram, I would take Kelly to beat Murtazaev. I'm telling you that right now. I do not think I don't. I think Josh Kelly's bag is deep, dude. His speed, his reflexes, he has power. I want to see them toe to toe in terms of size. Kelly, carry muscle. People sleep on Josh Kelly. They always, they think about the Avenetian stoppage loss when he faded. He was a little bit younger. And they think about Ray Robinson, the draw. But Ray Robinson was a legit ass pro. Ask the Philly boys about Ray Robinson. Ray Robinson is a very, very, very good pro. And David Evanesian, minus the boots loss and the bud loss, David Evanesian was a stud, dude. It's just American fans throw away fighters once they lose to their favorite fighter, and they forget about what the dude had to do to come up, because a lot of times these Euro fighters come to America for their opportunity, and it's the first time the Americans have heard of them, and the only sort of opinion they have of them is when they lose to their favorite fighter, not knowing what this guy really brings to the table. Avenesian's a very, very, very solid pro as well. I mean, he's a little older now, but Kelly's made adjustments. The knock on Kelly is going to be his resume, but who's Murtazaev fought? You know what I'm saying? Like, I like Kelly against Murtazaev. I hope that goes down, and I hope it's in Saudi. Bakram allegedly had one hand. He's big for 55. He's tall. Bakram, I don't like the way Bakram fills out. I don't like something bothers me about his core. I don't know, man. I'm not sold on Bakram. Any thoughts on Conlan Basin? Oh, God, Mick Conlan. DJ, stop. Don't do this to me, DJ. Mick Conlan. God damn it. What's he doing? Come on, Mick. What are we doing? All right, Victor. Now it's getting a bit, come on, boy. This ain't one of them. This ain't one of them, big dog. Lil Nas X is a lost soul. Thanks, Julius. Anyway, getting easier to hit MJ's hands down, the hardest puncher he's ever faced. Let me think. I don't know, man. Louis Neary? You think? I'm an MJ fan. I'm just thinking styles, though. You're saying that with MJ's style, he's aggressive, he's fun, he's fan-friendly. You're saying that he's going to stop Inoue? Inoue has all of those same things. I think Inoue stops MJ. I got to be honest with you. I would take Inoue by stoppage. And then if Adams beats Boacek, that's going to make me more hesitant to bet on Virgil against Lubin. We haven't seen much of Adams lately, have we? Victor. Thank you. Murtazaev is not a boogeyman. Conwell. Yeah, people were on this Murtazaev bandwagon. I'm not. Norman versus Haney is my fight I'm looking forward to. Rando, man, it's hard for... Come on, we got Canelo Bud. What? Let's go. And Lester. I want to see Lester versus Mabili. No one's talking about Lester versus Mabili. Brandon, just because of his name and his judging history, they should be like, Cheatham, you're out of here. Get him out of here, this fucking guy. Hey, this fucking guy. Get him out of here, this guy. If I could do a Christopher Walken impression, that's what I would be doing. I'm going to wait to see Adams Boacek. Heaven sent, with so many fighters not fighting or having long layoffs, we may see a super... Heaven sent, isn't 2025 been good, though, boys? 2025. One of you boys in the Discord said something great today. Let me see. Said something because this is a week. They were like, I'm going to take the week off. That's not a bad idea, guys. We've had a busy 2025. There's a couple very fringe. If you even want to call the Darren Till fight a fight card. And then and then there's an obscure DAZN card, I think, in Thailand. Maybe take the week off. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be here. I'm creating content because this is what I do. But you don't have to gamble on every fight, boys. Canelo's never lost in Vegas. Also, when he fought Mayweather and Triple G, judges saved him. Has never lost in... Where did he fight Mayweather at? Didn't him and Floyd fight in Vegas? He lost to Floyd. I thought he definitely lost to Triple G, the first one. Sugar fights in 2 weeks, my guy. Can't wait for that fight. Leicester versus Mobili is a banger. Yeah, it's going to be tough to bet against Mobili based on this is Leicester's step up. A bunch of people pick MJ. You guys are high. No. Anyway, stops MJ. Bunch of people. Look, I'm a fan of MJ. Maradona. I've been talking about Maradona for a few years. He doesn't. I'm very comfortable with that pick. I'd like for Inoue to beat him. It's all good, Victor. I know it's all love. Brandon Adams for the upset against Seri. Seri looking like a corpse. He does look like a corpse of himself, Rambler. He got old quick, didn't he? Yo, Johnny, checking in, high interest, my guy. Good to have you here. Heaven sent. Hope to see Karen. He's talking about Chujikin. Artem. Yes. A Venetian. Senor. There you go. See, Heaven sent's a real one. Harutyan. Yeah. These are all great names. I'm probably mispronouncing them, but Karen Chukachin, Artem Harutyan, David A. Venetian, Emmanuel Stanionis come back. Super underrated, especially Karen, who only got beat by Boots and knocked down. But of course. Yeah, Chukachin's a tough out. Nobody wants to fight these guys, dude. Johnny, what's your favorite retro Jordan? Great question. I'm an OG fan of the very first ones. The very first ones. The ones that first hit the street when he first got his deal. The OG ones. Those are my favorites. But and then in 1992, I was 10 years old. The ones with the white patent leather with the sort of like circular impressions on the side. They're white patent leather on both sides, circular impressions, the black heel and the red front. I forgot what numbers. But when those hit the streets, I was 10. I was in, I think, 4th grade. Everybody had them. We didn't because, we were still on welfare. My mom didn't graduate from college until I was in 8th grade. All my boys had those ones. Take the week off. That's a boring week. Yeah, not a bad shout. I took Canelo, but their parlay will definitely be the over. Adams had a good fight against Katsarakis. Dude, Katsarakis is a good fighter. Katsarakis is a good fighter. I forgot about that fight, David. I forgot Adams fought Katsarakis. I got to rewatch it. How did Adams look in that fight? I thought he won. Adams had a good fight against Katsarakis. I thought he won. You thought Katsarakis won. 25 is flying fast. Victor, life is flying by fast. Life is flying by fast. You're full of talent. My mother's whole family is from Entredacqua, so about an hour and a half northeast of Rome in Tuscany. And my dad is from Prague, Czechoslovakia, which Prague is still there. But so I'm half Slavic and half Italian, but central northern Italian. So all my Italian family are green eyes, blonde hair. And then my Slavic, but they're shorter. My Slavic family are all big boys. I'm the shortest on my dad's side, but the tallest on the Italian side. It's so funny. Bivol Floyd beat him in Vegas. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I thought. Do you see a draw for Canelo, bud? I don't think those... I don't know, man. Look, I'm not the type of fan to bet on draws. I'm not the type of analyst to break down a fight and just pick a draw. I can't do that. It's in my nature. I can't just pick a draw. I hate draws. Draws suck. Fighters hate them, fans hate them, we hate them. So for the boys to pick them and hit, hats off. But usually bettors who pick the draw are doing it to hedge. I can't just sit here and pick a draw. Do I see a draw for Canelo? I mean, look what we saw in the last 5 weeks, guys. What, 5 draws in 5 weeks? 5 draws in 8 weeks, something along those lines. It could definitely happen. I don't want to see it happening now. Ortega looked dead at the weigh-ins. Yeah, somebody should have went to prison, especially Dwayne, how Aljamain carried him. And what the hell was Herb Dean doing in the 4th round? Facts, brother, all good. Appreciate you, Vic. Johnny was clamoring. Yeah, dude. You know my favorite shoes of all time, though? The best birthday present I ever got, man. I love my mom to death. That's this tattoo, by the way. My mom's name's Rose. So I got this tattoo years ago when I was living in Vegas. But I remember I was 10, and, times was rough. 2 parents with 4 kids. My mom was still in college. My dad wasn't working. And on my birthday, I woke up under my bed. This would have been like I was 11 or 12. The teal and white Reebok pumps, boy. The all white with the teal ball pressure Reebok pumps, man. Still to this day, I'm gonna call my mom later and be like, Mom, thanks. Still one of my favorite gifts. Victor Rawley's boxing shoes tribute to Back to those were dope. Adu, can I hear the Magpies in this? You hear him? Yeah. So I'm in my I live alone. I live in a 2-bedroom in the area in Sydney called the North Shore, and so I tell all my friends. I live in a tree house, mate. So I live near like a national park, which I love my neighborhood. But there's birds everywhere, parrots. You could hear them. That's crazy. Johnny, we taking Crawford and go the distance. Whew, high interest. We got, dude, it's time's coming for me to give you my pick, right? I could see the distance either side. Next week, Imama versus Calbahayo. It's a great fight. I thought Adams got robbed. Brandon versus, I'm going to watch it. David, I'm going to do my due diligence and watch it. Like Roy said, I don't do draws, I wear draws. Great quote. The pump's fire. I knew it. They hooked you up. Yeah, they did hook me up, man. I don't even know how they got my. You know what? I bet you my grandma gave him money. Moms are goated. My mom had me at 37. I waited 12. Nice, Zach. Moms are goated. If your mom's still alive, man, call her today. I love my mom. She's the strongest person I know. You see Rampage, son? Yeah, I covered it on my Instagram, Dwayne. I didn't share it, but I got into some heated chats over this. He's talking about Raja Rampage's son. If you're unaware, just go online. You can check that whole story out. A treehouse ain't no. Hey, well, a treehouse in a sense of if you come on my street, Big Kappa, there's giant eucalyptus trees everywhere, and I live on the second floor, the second level. So if I walked on my patio right now, you'll see trees. If I walked on my other side of the patio, you'll see trees. So yeah, that's what I mean. FX, of course, we're doing DWC code. We're doing, of course, FX. We won money. Got to get that blue star back, FX. I'm covering the Contender Series every week, by the way. Do you see kangaroos outside? No. So I live. Kangaroos are very sketchy animals, meaning that they're very sort of dodgy when they see humans. So due to the urban sprawl of Sydney over the last few decades, the kangaroos have been sort of forced on the outskirts, but they are in Sydney, not where I live. I've seen them before though. And that dude who got punched like that makes it alive and healthy. Yeah, the Rampage snooze is insane. FX, is there snakes and spiders in your house? No. Nope. Thank God. There are snakes. If I were to go to the national park right near me, though, I would see lizards, snakes, spiders. You'd see possums. You'd see owls. My favorite animal is the bird, and so for the longest time I wanted to. This is going to sound super nerdy, but I wanted to study birds. So here's a little fun fact. If you guys like trivia, the study of birds is called ornithology. And so for a bird lover, I could walk outside right now and see 10 different species of birds. Beautiful birds. Basically birds that if we were in America, you would see in pet stores. And these are just wild here. Cockatoos, kookaburras, parrots, owls, magpies, crows, hawks. It's amazing. Yeah, Vic, I grew up with 3 sisters, my mom and dad. Canelo dropped boots and sparring. Guys, we're over an hour. I gotta end this. You guys are awesome. Everybody still in the chat, I say thank you. Everybody who supports me in any way, I say thank you. I'll take a couple more. Brandon, I'm weird. We're all weird though. I love snakes. I have a red-tailed boa. Nice. But I hate spiders. I would run from a spider, but I would walk up to a wild snake. Phobias are a strange thing. It is. They say, Brandon, if you were to actually dissect where phobias originate from, there's been some books and studies on epigenetics. So the idea that when we're born, we already know about genetics. Epigenetics used to be theorized, and then it's been proven to be facts that we not only get sort of habits, sometimes we get memories, sometimes we get fears from our ancestors. It's basically ancestral DNA. And they say that these phobias, these fear of snakes, these fear of spiders, go all the way back to, when we're evolving, maybe somewhere along the line, when we're living in caves, you got bit by a spider and died. You know what I'm saying? Or something along those lines. It's worth looking into though, because it on paper, how are you afraid of a spider but not a snake? Yeah, I don't fuck with snakes either. And on that note, boys, I'm out. I'll talk to you boys soon. I'm going to go live again later today. We got Dana White Contender Series coming up in 2 days. And then we got a couple obscure boxing cards. Like this chat. Join the Discord. If you joined it last month and you're still in the Discord, remember to sign back up. It's an honor system. I expect all you boys you guys are good guys. So David, peace. Boxing fan. All the boys support the chat. Vic, be good. And Brandon, stay up, man.